All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Manufacturing E-commerce Success Series. We are so excited today to be here. I'm Damon Pasalka, one of your co-hosts. And with me today, I'm going to turn this over to my brother from another mother, partner in crime, Kurt Anderson. Take it away, my friend.
Hey, I caught the ball. Thank you, Damon. Hey, guys, happy Friday. Man, where did January go? I have not, like, it was like I blinked and also like we're knee deep into 2022 already, guys. Happy Friday. What an honor. What a privilege. What a blessing today that we are with the capital THE Manufacturing Millennial. Now, before I do the introduction, Jake, I know Damon and I look older, but we are millennials, right, Damon? We're millennials minus 20 years or so, something like that. I'm not sure.
Like that, yeah.
So we just missed it, Jake. We missed it. So
you guys were right on the edge.
Right on the cusp, brother. Right on the cusp. Jake Hall, the Manufacturing Millennial. Welcome to the program. How are you, dude?
I'm doing wonderful. It's been a crazy week. This week was the first official trade show conference of 2022 that I went to. One down, probably 23 more to go this year. But I'm excited that, manufacturing's got a lot of stuff going from in 2022.
Man, that's fantastic, dude. So, hey, we have so much to uncover in such a short period of time. So let's take a step back in time. Just share. I know, like, you've had a great career manufacturing, and now you're just really foot to the pedal as far as this whole digital transformation, really setting the bar high for other folks to follow. Share a little bit on your background, how you got here, your whole mission, passion, purpose in manufacturing. Let's hear a little bit about Jake and your background.
Yeah, so my passion for manufacturing and building things goes back to my childhood. You can see behind me, I got Lego behind me up on the wall. So my passion for Lego hasn't gone away. If anything, it's increased as my, expending, my spending has been able to increase as well. But going into high school, I was in first robotics. I did a lot of curricular activities. I worked for machine builders when I was in high school. GR Automation, who's a ginormous machine builder. Now I started out on the floor, sweeping floors, cleaning CNC and manual lathe equipment. Went to college. I got a manufacturing engineering degree and biomedical engineering degree. After college, I stepped into the world of automation distribution. Did that for 7.5 years or so. And from then, about a year and a half ago, I took my next step in journey and really did two things. I went and joined a really awesome company called Feyen Zylstra. We're an industrial tech company that helps manufacturers modernize their existing equipment and also leverage new technology to make them a much more digitally running, digitally transformed manufacturer. And during that time period as well, during the pandemic, I started a personal brand, the Manufacturing Millennial, where I love to share and advocate the incredible opportunities that manufacturing has, not only for new technologies and innovation, but also for future generations like millennials and Gen Zs, that manufacturing has so many avenues to be a phenomenal skill, from being in engineers to people in skilled trades who are welders, machine tending people who are doing machining work, or robotics programmers. There's just so many different opportunities in the manufacturing space. And I love to create content and advocate. And that's what I do.
That's awesome. So you know what, man, so much uncover right there, Jake.
Yeah,
so let's run into this. Did you have, so as a millennial, you come into manufacturing, it's in your heart, it's in your blood, it's in your passion of being a dedicated manufacturer. Talk about your digital journey a little bit. Again, for us older guys, like trying to play catch up, was there the Manufacturing Millennial? Was there an aha moment? Was this a gradual process? Did you wake up one night and you're like, man, I'm going for it. I'm going to brand myself as the Manufacturing Millennial. Just what was that journey, that transition for you?
Yeah. Great question. So the Manufacturing Millennial came about when I was actually at a conference. And it was at a get together of a bunch of distributors across the U.S. And as I was sitting in this conference, I would count it, Kurt and Damon, I would say I was one of one millennials in this entire audience. Out of the 500 people there, I was probably the only one under 40. And that's really when it clicked for me, where I never really thought about it until that time, where there's no younger people in the manufacturing space. And so that's kind of how, well, I'm a millennial. I love manufacturing. And I gave myself, I'm the manufacturing millennial. I didn't act on that until really when the pandemic of 2020 happened. I mean, here in Michigan, we got closed down hard in March of 2020, where basically said everyone's working from home unless you are a, you know, certified or approved, you know, I forgot what the terminology was. You know, employee, you're working from home. And well, that really hurt me when I was in outside sales selling automation equipment. I couldn't see my people anymore. And emails and phone calls and trying to host webinars as a company would only go so far. People are like, oh, this is great for the first 2 or 3 weeks, but after that, it's gone. So I said, well, I have like 200 people, 300 people I'm connected with on LinkedIn. Some of them are like my customers. I'm just going to start posting on LinkedIn. And the reason why I did that is because it's a non-aggressive approach. I think a lot of times when we're trying to reach out to people through email, it's always a sales reason. It's always that. And where with the social media, it's more along the lines of they're on social media because they want to, and they have every right to scroll past my content as quickly as they want to. So I said, well, what's going to prevent people from not scrolling past my content and being engaging? And I think the biggest thing that I took away from that right away is I'm going to talk less about myself. I'm going to talk less about my products, and I'm going to talk about more about what other people are doing and more about what problems are being solved. And so from that philosophy, it's the idea of stop selling and start solving. And if I can start helping and sharing how problems are being solved in the industry, people will like that. And over I don't know where we're at now, guys, you know, 18-month period of time since I started that, I've grown from a couple hundred connections on LinkedIn to well over 30,000 followers. And that's just by, you know, authentic growth. I mean, I don't have that many connections. It's just all people who are following me because of my content.
Yeah.
Which is huge, right? You know, it's
Yeah. That's cool.
We got to repeat that. We got to repeat that one, Jake. So you had a couple hundred connections 2 years ago. Is that what you just said?
Yep. Yeah. Right. And I actually wrote it down when I first started. So if I were to go back to like March of 2020, I had under 500 connections.
Dude, you're a case study. Man, I need screenshots of that because I'm going to use you in our LinkedIn programs and workshops. So, Jake, and I absolutely love what you said. It's a non-aggressive approach. And Damon and I had the honor of doing a great interview on Monday with Michelle Jones, and she dropped this bomb. I just want to share and I see what you think. She said, you know, everybody has a brand. So any manufacturers, you know, if your website's from or whatever, that is your brand. Like her quote was, no brand is a brand. I absolutely love what you did. And I apologize if man, you just said so much juicy stuff right there. Why LinkedIn? Why did you quadruple down on LinkedIn? Why not, you know, if like older folks are on Facebook or other platforms, why did you quadruple down on LinkedIn?
Great question. The reason why I chose the LinkedIn platform is because that's where currently the manufacturing industry is.
Yep.
And that's not saying much because the manufacturing industry really isn't on LinkedIn, but at least some people are.
Some people, there's a little bit. Before
I could even begin looking at other social media platforms, which is part of my 2022 strategy, I had to first create a audience that was around the manufacturing space. And that's where most companies live, where I could find people to talk with and to network with, because that's a social profile, professional social profile, where on YouTube, it could be, you know, Noob Master 69 or whatever, who's in, you know, the Avengers, you know, game title, but that's not a person. That's just a name or a title. There's no value created behind that follower. Right. Where now I can create content and know that my engagement is coming from my industry, and that's valuable. And so what I'm not saying is other social media platforms are extremely important. And in some industries, from a B2B perspective or B2C perspective, other industries are, other social platforms might be more valuable than LinkedIn.
Right.
But LinkedIn creates that opportunity to create professional networks, professional conversations, professional opportunities for us to have live podcasts like we're doing right now on manufacturing e-commerce success, and and create those conversations that we can then generate more content from and push to other platforms.
Man, this is a case study right here. So under 500 followers, you've built it up over 30,000. Walk us through. And you launched this pre-COVID, right? I think I saw like January of 2020 is when you actually started, or kind of right in that mix.
I mean, right around March, actually. I mean, I think my first, I was posting on LinkedIn before, but it was once a month of like, hey, here's our updated line card. Yeah. I was the typical faulty salesman of like, hey, here's a new product video. We do that, and it would get 1 or 2 likes.
Yeah, right.
We've all been at fault for that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, really, I think my first like content post was the day after the shutdown of COVID.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so that's really where my timeline starts. I can go back to, well, when Michigan shut down on COVID, that's when I started the Manufacturing Millennial.
Right. Okay. So you decide this non-aggressive approach. You're going to, educate and entertain, inform, just keep people posted as opposed to, trying to sell. And if John Buglino's with us today, he loves to call it hunt the relationships. So you're out there just hunting the relationships. Jake, did you walk us through like March 2020, like through 2020? Did you have aha moments during the process where you're like, hey, that didn't work so well, but man, this really worked. Or this worked. Like, how did you graduate to like being the video king? Like, can you walk through that process?
A lot of it was learning experience, right? Where a lot of times I tried to create longer content that might not have been engaged. And the one thing we need to realize with LinkedIn, it's a scrolling platform, right? A scrolling platform is different than a YouTube platform. A YouTube platform, I click on a video and I stay on that video, and it takes a lot of effort for me to go and click on another video to start watching that content. With LinkedIn, it's literally just taking your thumb and doing this.
Yeah.
Right? So if you are not creating content or videos or pictures or something that's going to draw the person's attention within the first 3 seconds of that video, you lost them.
Scroll stopper, right? You have to be the scroll stopper.
Yeah. So that's the big thing, right? So I think the big thing that we look at right away is, what is your first sentence on any content? If your first sentence is not your grabber, you lost them. Right. So like for me personally, when I'm doing my content, I always like to relate back to the industry, back to the manufacturing industry, back to the automation industry, back to skilled trades, with some facts that people can be educated on and want to learn more. It's the exact same thing with videos, right? I always give companies a really hard time who literally spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce video content, post it on social media, and then they wonder why they don't get any views. Well, the first 15 seconds of that is just some fancy schmancy animation of your company logo spinning in circles with stars around it. And well, no one cares. Sorry. And you already lost their audience.
No one cares. Right.
And I get it, right? Company branding is important. It's important that people understand your video, but maybe you need to repurpose that content. And that's what I've done successfully on LinkedIn, is repurpose that content to be more socially media engaging, and friendly.
And it's funny though, how companies still think you got to spend thousands of dollars on a video to get engagement in it. And you're right. It's just a lot of times it's a waste of time and effort.
Yeah.
Because a simple video will get way more engagement and produce way better results if it's just like you said, solving and simple.
Yeah. I mean, I've literally made posts that I've drawn in PowerPoint, taken a screenshot of that picture, posted it, and gotten 500,000 views.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's put that in perspective real quick. Content on social media is so engaging. And it's not one of those things where it's either social media or it's in-person events, or it's social media or it's this type of marketing. It's a collaboration of both. And I think that's what we're needing to recognize is millennials and Gen Zs find content, find information, create decision-making differently than what other generations had. Right. And decision making isn't always going to be made through social media and content, but it's a gateway to drive brand awareness to learn more, right? Social media is a great opportunity to get a first taste on what your company does. And if companies focus so much into the details right away on what the product is and features, they're limiting their ability to scale an audience that can drive more views and leads into them.
Are you capable of repeating that sentence?
Probably not. We'll go back and let's record it.
Hey, Damon, where's the rewind button? Because I'm going to hit.
Yeah, we just rewind that.
So if I heard you correctly, when we focus on our features and our benefits, right, yep, as opposed to delivering value, just, you know, man, I wish I could summarize what or sum up what you just said, but that was a drop the mic moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, really, when its summary comes down to is, with social media, the focus should be on reaching a generalized audience that creates brand awareness around what your solution is, not about your product, right? And it goes back to, here's another takeaway. You like this. Companies should worry more about finding out what the problems are in the industry and focus less on trying to sell their product.
Right.
Because every problem needs a product. Not every product addresses the problem. You know, and I think that's one of the things that people look at is the way we've done, or companies have done, social media content for so long is they're like posting a new line card or posting another video highlight of, you know, product XYZ in the lab going, you know, of doing a feature. Well, I don't care about that. Show me what it's doing in a manufacturing environment. Show me what problem it's actually solving, rather than you just giving me a technical spec readout of all the latest features and updates.
Right. So, all right.
Here's the thing. Those features and updates are great. I'm not trying to take that away. And for people who already know your product, great. They are super excited because they're passionate about that. But is that your audience? If your audience is only educating and creating excitement around your current customer, then great. But for people in marketing, it's a lot of times about how do I create new audiences? And that's a different approach.
Man, this is like the 2016 Cubs right here, Damon, isn't it, man?
Yeah.
Jake's like hitting home runs. And so this is juicy. So Jake, let's do this. Talk about how do you find your videos? How do you find your content? How are you approaching this?
Yeah, I mean, so when I first started, my video content was literally being found on like Reddit and like searching YouTube videos of like cool manufacturing processes. Or like I would literally walk around the grocery store or the Home Depot and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wonder how they made that product. And then it would go on YouTube and I would find that video. Now my content with my audience is engaged where I just get so many videos now. People just send me content. You know, and I become a curator of that. And the one thing is 80% of the content I get sent, I'm like, hey, appreciate it. Doesn't fit the brand. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm not going to share content that's all you're doing is a product highlight video, or they want me to share a company like 2008 highlight. This is who we are, you know, with like a super like backdrop with a person off to the side talking like this, you know, and, you know, they have their PowerPoint embedded thing over there. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, you don't get it, you know, and until you get it, you're not going to get that reach. And that reach is huge on LinkedIn. You know, right now I'm averaging 150,000 views a week on my content here on LinkedIn.
150,000 views a week. Okay, Jake, so if somebody's out there and they have just phenomenal content that, boy, I would love it. You know, like, get that message out there. Like, who are you looking for? What type of content? Like, what is content that you receive? You're like, man, thank you for that one. That was great. Yeah.
I mean, for the content that I love, it's a fun manufacturing process that's adapting new automation. I mean, that's what I love. It is, you know, new ways to address problems that have been around for a long time. I think of there's a company out there called Soft Robotics, and they make a IP69 gripper that can grab chicken wings off of a conveyor belt. Well, for a long time, the food and beverage industry was it was not a heavily autonomized industry because there is so much variation in that chicken wing. We've all been to Buffalo Wild Wings. Everyone's a different size, everyone's a different length, everyone's a different width. Well, if you can create flexibility within your manufacturing processes, you could automate. So what they're doing is they're leveraging now new solutions to automate the food and beverage industry. That's exciting. You know, and I still go back to old school nostalgia as well. If I run across a cool manufacturing video from like the 1940s or 50s, I love sharing that because that's where the roots came from. What I don't like doing is sharing a manufacturing process that is being used today that obviously could be automated by some sort of means. And it goes back to kind of that other thing. I want to help manufacturers drive brand awareness and market accessibility by leveraging social media. But the other half of it as well is we need to attract the future workforce, the millennials and the Gen Zs into our industry. And we're not going to do that unless we're showing to them the new innovation and the new technology that is becoming available in our industry. Because right now, people who are not in the manufacturing space view us as the 3Ds or the 4Ds, the dark, dirty, dangerous, dull industry. It's where your grandparents worked. It's not where I work because I'm going to go to a 4-year education and I'm going to become a TikTok influencer. You know, and you know, that's the idea that a lot of these younger generations have. Well, we need to educate them and say, no, listen, there's some of the greatest and most innovative technology. We're playing with artificial intelligence. We're playing with robotics. We're playing with autonomous robots. We're doing more IT, OT space and playing with data than anywhere else. Companies like Amazon, who deliver your packages, are also building out Industry 4.0 solution kits to help first-time small to medium-sized manufacturers adapt new technology. You know, so we need to, at the same time, hit it from two parts. One is, how do we how do we leverage manufacturers and show them new automation that's going to make them more competitive in a highly, you know, competitive supply chain right now of product and also a supply chain of labor. And then how do we attract a future workforce? And that's kind of my vision and focus of my brand, I guess you could say.
I absolutely love it. So Jake, just so everybody understands. So yeah, you're FZ during the day, you're Clark Kent with FZ during the day, Superman at night and on weekends. And so you are a full-fledged, social media consultant, provider. You have multiple clients. You're helping folks, figure out this whole social media thing. So for folks, Damon and I, we are Gen X, so digital immigrants. How, your message to folks on, social media is no longer a nice to have. It is an absolute critical. What do you tell folks that are a little bit resistant, or, obviously you probably move on to the next client, but for folks that are a little bit resistant, how do you kind of break that barrier down for the Gen X and baby boomers?
Yeah. Well, let's do this. So there was a comment in here. It just says LinkedIn user on my screen, but it said old school manufacturers are paranoid of change in technology. Yeah. You know who's not paranoid of change in technology? Millennials and Gen Zs. Why? Because since they were 4 years old, they've learned how to leverage technology growing up. Back when Kurt and Damon were around and they had the typewriter,
we had 8-tracks, Jake. We had 8-track players.
8-tracks, 8-tracks, yeah.
ACDC, Damon, right?
But it's one of those things.
Back in black.
Manufacturers are paranoid of change in technology. You know who's not paranoid of changing technology? New people. You know who's not paranoid of being active on social media? Millennials. So why aren't millennials, or why aren't manufacturers leveraging millennials who aren't afraid to do something new, who aren't afraid to fail, who aren't afraid to pick up a robot teach pen and teach themselves? Because that's our mindset. We go and we can buy a $40 Raspberry Pi or Arduino board and sit at our computer at home, or take a 3D printer like one behind me and make something new because we can. That's where the old school mindset of Gen X's and boomers can leverage the ability of millennials and Gen Zs to adapt to those new solutions.
And
that's awesome.
This is so great because, Jake, you've just laid out the roadmap for people that are wondering how the hell they're going to implement and adopt this technology going forward, because it is truly that. I don't have to learn it. I just need to get the right people around me that want to play with it and learn it and adapt it and and just really utilize it, and then guide them into really putting it in the places where it makes the most difference in my manufacturing processes.
Absolutely. I mean, because what millennials and Gen Zs, they like purpose, they like opportunity, they like impact. And if you can take a brand new person and say, listen, we never introduced a robot into our manufacturing process before, but we're going to let you take this robot, this industrial robot, this collaborative robot, and we want you to find spaces that we can automate our manufacturing processes. Or leverage software. It's not just necessarily physical. It could be digital work instructions on my phone, where instead of going out and 3D printing my work instructions or my to-do list for the day, no, we're going to leverage a software that's going to print out our work instructions for the day, or work setup, or tool setup, or machine setup, and have this process where we can leverage this out. And the great part about that as well is not just the benefit of that, it's now you're reducing a ton of risks. I mean, I've had stories where I've been to manufacturers and they've literally had to scrap $100,000 worth of components that they made over an 8-hour shift because the guy, when they set up the tool, they changed the machine setup. Well, the guy who's been there for 45 years, who has his own 3-inch ring biter notebook, went out there and he followed through, flipped through this page. Oh, I'm running this tool. Okay, well, this is the setup. He didn't get the update, so they just scrapped a bunch of parts. That's where digital-based work instructions and tools can be, hugely impactful. So there's all different ways we can leverage new technology and existing manufacturing processes to attract a future workforce, and at the same time, make manufacturers more innovative.
And simplify it. And simplify it too. Simplify it. That's the other thing. It makes it easier. Because Yeah. So what are some of the things that I wanted to ask this because I know we're going to get going here, but what are some of the things that you go, holy heck, that is cool as hell. I just can't wait to see that applied someplace.
Good question. I mean, for me, I would say Boston Dynamics robots are freaking awesome.
Oh God.
Yes.
Incredible.
I have 3D printed Boston Dynamics robots behind me, and I'm trying to work with Boston Dynamics to get a one to play with for a little bit. But for me, adaptation of robotics and artificial intelligence is absolutely incredible. From autonomous picking to depalletizing to picking components out of a randomized structure bin is absolutely amazing. Autonomous welding, the fact that right now the average welder in the United States is 55 years old, and by like 2022 or 2023 or 2024, there will be 400,000 welders that will retire. Where it will need a demand. So how do we take new technologies and leverage autonomous welding to have robots weld these components instead of the people who are no longer available to make product?
Yeah, man. So Jake, with that right there, so we're top of the hour. I know some folks might, if they have a hard stop, they're cutting out. Again, guys, follow Jake on LinkedIn, follow his content, amazing videos, awesome stuff going on here. Jake, let's throw on your millennial to millennial hat, if you will. Yeah. So I love your passion, speaking to us older guys, right? Let's flip the script a little bit. What's the story that you share for millennials, for your generation, why manufacturing is so amazing, so cool? You're making manufacturing, you're bringing sexy back to manufacturing. What's your message to millennials?
There's opportunity in so many directions, and there's opportunity to create change in a lot of directions. You don't need to go to college and get a 4-year degree and graduate with $45,000 in student debt to make 6 figures. That 6-figure number is something that people have always changed. But in realistic terms, you can go and get an apprentice, become a welder, and with a little bit of experience in welding, you can easily turn 6 figures with no problem, provide for your family, and do some really cool projects. I was just talking to a guy who was doing welding, and now he's a welder at Starship down in Boca Chica for SpaceX. Like, sweet, right? And I think it's one of those things is, for future generations, manufacturing, like I said, isn't this dark, dirty, dangerous environment. Are there going to be those industries within manufacturing that, you're going to go down to Gary, Indiana, and that's just going to be the dirty part of metal manufacturing? Absolutely, there's going to be. But there's a lot of other industries as well that are really cool from all these different solutions that we kind of classify as industry 4.0, you know, and all the different products and opportunities that are out there to make manufacturing great.
Yeah, that's something, man. The go ahead, Kurt. My head's just swimming right now.
No, this is awesome. So, Jake, how about this for folks out there? Well, let me ask you this: for your direction, like you know, what you've done in the past 2 years is nothing short of absolutely amazing. What's your plan for 2022? What are your goals? What are heights that you're going to hit? You know, moving forward with your initiative.
Yeah, I mean, a few things. Great question. One is, I'm gonna be at a lot of trade shows and conferences. I for a guy who's on social media, I think the impact of in-person events and networking is just as important as social media still. So social media is not going to replace trade shows. Social media is not going to replace in-person events. It's not going to happen. So one, I'm going to be at a lot of great trade shows and conferences this year. Another big thing for me is social media diversification. I plan on doing a lot of other content on TikTok and Instagram and, you know, Twitter. I think I was at the A3 Business Forum Monday through Wednesday this week in Orlando, and I probably pushed out over 30 tweets on, you know, 2 days, 3 days, just talking about cool stuff that's happening in the industry. Yeah, I mean, I have that. I hope to get rolling on my own live video podcast and do that presentation once a week. It's just the time and the energy is, only so much for scalability, but plan to grow that and, you know, just continue to really advocate manufacturing and advocate all the people in the industry who are doing such an incredible job, because I'm one of hundreds of other people right now on LinkedIn who are really passionate about growing the industry and not just about, you know, creating more awareness for themselves. And that's what I think, and that's what manufacturing needs to really make our industry great again.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah,
and
it is.
We have a mutual. Yeah. Go ahead, Damon.
Well, I mean, it is like you're out there fighting the fight, showing young people that it's a great place for a career. It's a great place if you're going to college and want to work on something. It's a great place if you want to learn a trade and go on something. And it's a great place. Hey, if you're out of high school and you got a pair of hands and a good mind, you know, the thing is that it's not, as you said, dark, dirty, and dangerous. It's a place where you can have a wonderful career and work on some crazy stuff. I mean, I just look back at how lucky I am in the years I had in manufacturing. I mean, I watched the Mars. I don't even know the old Mars rover that they show the wheels with the holes in it. I was a manager of that company that made those wheels.
Oh, really?
I mean, how you go? I was like, somebody showed it to me and I was like, holy hell, we made this. This is going to be on Mars. And I'm like, this kind of stuff is crazy when you think about some of the stuff you talked about SpaceX, and these are things that some of these people only they don't realize it's happening right beside them, first of all.
Yeah. And
they never consider the fact that I can go to a trade school, I can come out of high school, and I can work in a place that does that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. Adam Stelzner, who is the chief engineer at JPL, was one of the speakers that I listened to Tuesday this week. Nice. He talked about all the different rovers and Perseverance and Curiosity and all the different rovers that were out there. So funny you mentioned that. I saw the exact wheels you're probably talking about on the pictures that he shared.
Yep. They started out as big chunks of aluminum on a lathe, and it comes down into whatever, pound and a half or something crazy like that when you're
absolutely
done. But it's so interesting when you see the possibilities and just everything from everyday products to automotive and aerospace and space stuff now, and just different pieces of technology.
Yeah. Do we have another minute?
Yeah.
And we sure do. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the questions, so Don out there said, what are we going to do to find labor sources for manufacturing? We create them. And we create them by manufacturers and end users investing locally in their education through their high schools, through their colleges and their universities to educate the teachers, the guidance counselors, and the professors to create and advocate manufacturing opportunities.
Yep.
That's how we grow that. The industry isn't going to magically create more people, especially when more and more industries are popping up. that are pulling general labor out of manufacturing. So in order for us to get that labor, we need to create that labor, and we need to invest in that labor. So if you can't find people who are passionate about manufacturing and want to be industry, then go create that passion for people who are going to be in manufacturing industry. Go get involved with high schools who have FIRST robotics programs. If they don't have FIRST robotics programs, be one of those people who creates that program for those high school students so they can learn the importance of science and technology and engineering and math. That's how change is created. Yeah. Change in manufacturing is not going to be created on this global scale by some president or a congressional decision that's going to make manufacturing grow in the industry again. It's going to grow by local manufacturers, local companies investing locally to create a better future for manufacturing. That's how it's going to happen.
100%. That's so great that you said that, Jake, and you brought it up. You know, I look at people like Matt Goosey at MRS Machining there in Wisconsin, and he I think his dad even started working with the local high school, and he's been doing it for years. And he said his average age of machinists and his average age of employees in his company was like 27, 28 years old. And I'm like, how the heck do you do that? I literally can't find it. He said, well, this is how we do it. And we've been doing it for a long time. You're exactly right. It takes local people doing this to get the younger people in their area interested in manufacturing, because most of them don't even know it's an option.
Yeah. And a couple of things as well. It's not just focusing just on the education facilities. It's making our industry, more attractive to people who aren't in it. What I mean by that is, women in the industry. When manufacturing is an industry that's like 80% dominated by males, you want to know how you get more workforce? Well, you even out those numbers so it's a 50-50, and boom, you just have a million more, women engineers or people with women manufacturing or minority groups. Why is manufacturing this, like right now when you look at the geographic, 65% are, white males over the age of 55. Yep. That's just the case. So there's a guy, Andrew Crow, does a phenomenal job. And he might be a great guest for you guys if you haven't been on there before. But he's advocating manufacturing for minorities and inner city programs. I mean, so like, you want to know how you make change? Find the people who aren't even in the industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I tell you, like yourself, Jake, Chris Lukey, Andrew Crow, you guys are doing amazing work as influencers and young guys. But Andrew Crow, if you guys aren't connected with Andrew, you need to connect and follow his videos, man. It's like Chris Lukey the other day was like, man, I feel like running through a wall after watching one of Andrew's videos. He's just absolutely awesome. So Jake, I know you're super busy. You had a hectic week. Last question for you. Folks want to work with you and get a slice of your superpowers, just this amazing job what trajectory, what an amazing success story you are over a 2-year span, dude. I mean, like, kudos to you. Congratulations to you. Thank you for what you're doing for manufacturing, being such a positive influence, shining a bright light. Talk a little bit about, like, if somebody wants to work with you, like, hey man, I need help. I want to get some of this magic that you're performing. What's that process look like when a client comes out into your world?
Yeah. I mean, I would say first step, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let's just have a conversation about what you're doing in the industry and what you're doing to change the industry. I think that's the big thing as well. If you're just there and you're not doing much, and I don't see innovation or passion for advocating manufacturing, and you're just here for a product pitch or a promotion, it's one of those things is, would it be great to pull on more clients and stuff? Yeah, but that's not what I'm advocating for.
You're not right.
It's manufacturing first. And I think if more people have that same ideology of manufacturing first, we all win.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
So reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let's have a conversation if we can work out, or if I just can give you a few pointers for you to grow your own personal brand. Honestly, for me, I'd rather not be one of the faces on manufacturing. I'd rather have 50,000 other people be the faces of manufacturing that have a lot more diversity than what this panel has right now.
That's right.
And honestly, like that would be the biggest win for me.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're getting there. There's a lot of
Yeah, we're getting
big push. There's a big push, and people are on board. And I think what's great, Jake, if you ever catch up to me and Damon, manufacturer is going to look a lot different, in different scopes and different shapes, sizes. So it's the future is so optimistic for manufacturing. And I think the big thing is guys like you, Mike Womack at the New Jersey MEP. We're interviewing Jeanette Stevens from Gen Edge, a young, bright woman. She's minority. She's speaking with us on Monday about all the great work that the MEP is doing in Virginia. So again, there's a lot of momentum behind manufacturing, as you're saying, diversity. Our friend Megan,
Zimba,
Zimba, she's doing a great job. So there's a lot of momentum where, again, previous generation was like, manufacturing's dirty, don't do that, da, 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 da. We're flipping the script. And again, it's a big thanks to guys like you. Last thought for manufacturers out there, parting thoughts, words of wisdom, little Jakeism. What are last parting thoughts for our manufacturers out there, Jake?
Encourage people who are trying to create a voice in manufacturing, people who might not have a huge voice or might not be comfortable because there's so much negativity with old thoughts of how manufacturing used to be. Take a person under your wing and encourage them to grow to what they want to envision manufacturing to be. And if you can help someone else, they'll help someone else, and they'll help someone else. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, dude, what a great way to end the show, man. That was drop the mic, Jake. That was awesome. Drop the mic, Damon. That was phenomenal. Yep. So, guys, let's wrap up on this. So, Jake, thank you. Crazy, hectic week. We are so fortunate, blessed. I know how busy you are that you took time to share with us. Thank you for being a driving force for manufacturers, for Made in USA products. Dude, man, keep your foot on the pedal. We, us old dudes, need your motivation, your passion, your inspiration. So thank you, guys. Thank you for everybody joining us today. You are a blessing to all of us. We thank you so much every week for hanging out with me and Damon. Damon, take it away, brother.
Well, this was a great one. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Jake, for being here today. It was awesome talking with you. And man, again, if people aren't following Jake Hall on LinkedIn, get out there, hit that follow button and follow his content. It's good stuff. And it will be inspiring and informational.
And if Dan Bigger's still with us, Dan Bigger has a new closing line for our show. You ready, Jake? You ready for this one? Jake?
Let's hear it.
You sitting down for this one, Jake? So I'm always like, not that I have no intention to try to be a Gary V guy, but I'm always like, guys, we need to go out and crush it, right, Damon? I say that every week. Guys, go out and crush it. Well, here's Dan Bigger's new line for us. You guys ready? Jake Hall. Consider it crushed, dude. You just crushed it. You did a phenomenal job. So now we're talking in the past tense. We're not talking in the future tense. You did an amazing job. Thank you. Guys, next Friday, Damon, we have John Jantz, the author of Duct Tape Marketing. I mean, if anybody's a small business out there and you guys have read Duct Tape Marketing, the small business marketing guru is with us next Friday to help you guys consider it crushed again. So, Jake, thank you, brother. Appreciate
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Hang out for 1 second. Damon, take it away, dude.
All right, everyone. Thanks. The chat was going wild today. Comments. Thanks so much for being there. John, Emily, Dan, Gail, Don. There's so many. I can't even remember them all, Michael. Hey, thanks so much for showing up every week and doing what you do and adding to the conversation. And thanks for being there. We'll be back again next week and with another interesting guest. Thanks so much. Bye for now.